Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First all, let's thank to God Allah Almighty because His mercies and blessing we get a healthy, a good condition today. And then salawat and salam to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam by reciting Allahumma sholli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Last, thank you to our Mr. Nuardi MED as the lecturer in the course Research and Development in ELT. I'm Naning Triana from 5A class of English Education Department. Here I want a presentation about account. Part A, Introduction. Process in several stages. First, we set out the characteristic of the ethogenic approach. And the second, we set out procedures in eliciting, analyzing, and authenticating accounts. And the third, we provide an introduction to handling qualitative accounts and their related files of network analysis and discourse analysis. And the fourth, we provide an introduction to handling quantitative and qualitative accounts. And finally, we review the strength and weakness of ethogenic approaches. And rather than we attempt to indicate some important way in which researchers can use account in collecting data for their research. Accounting for action in those larger slides of life called social episode is the central concern of a participatory psychology with focus upon actual intention, their beliefs about what sorts of behavior will enable them to reach their goals, and their awareness of the rules that govern those behaviors. And part B, the ethogenic approach. Ethogenic studies represent another approach to the study of social behavior, and their methods stand in bold contrast to those commonly employed in much of the educational research. Here A identifies 5 main principles in the ethogenic approach. The first, an explicit distinction is drawn between synchronic analysis, or the analysis of social practices and institution as they exist at any one time, and diachronic analysis. Social practice and institution are created and abounded, changed and are changed. And the second, in social interaction, it's assumed that action takes place through endowing intersubjective entities with meaning. And then the ethogenic approach is concerned with speech, which accompanies action. Next, the ethogenic approach is founded upon the belief that human beings think. And the last, the skills that are employed in ethogenic studies therefore make use of common sense understanding of the social world. Okay. Next, characteristic of account and episode. Episodes may thus vary in duration and reflect innumerable aspects of life. A student entering primary school age 7 and leaving at 11 would be an extended episode. A 2-minute television interview with a political celebrity would be another. The contents of an episode which interest the ethogenic researcher include not only the perceiving behavior such as gesture and speech, but also the thought, the feelings, and the intention of those taking part. Accounts serve to expand our past, present, and future-oriented action, providing that accounts are authentic. It's argued there is no reason why they should not be used as scientific tools in explaining people's action. And then the part D, procedures. in eliciting, analyzing, and authenticating accounts, and an example. The procedure involves attempting to implement the account gathering situation, the transformation of accounts, the research accounts, and set out control procedures for each of these elements, from keyword develop an experience sampling method that is a qualitative technique for gathering and analyzing accounts based upon type recorded interview that for themselves you can say this table. Okay, Heath identifies 8 methods for dealing with the tape recorder. The first, the total pattern of choice. The second, similarities and differences. And then the third, grouping item together. And the fourth, categorization of content. The fifth, tracing a attempt. And then the sixth, tracing attempt. And the seventh, the study of omission, and the last, reconstruction of a social life word. The next, generating and testing hypotheses. Okay, next part E, network analysis of qualitative data. Another technique that has been successfully applied in the analysis of qualitative data is described by its originator as systematic network analysis. Essentially, network analysis involves the development of an elaborate system of categories by way of classifying qualitative data and preserving the essential complexity and subtlety of the material under investigation. And part F, what makes a good network? Okay, the first, any system of description needs to be valid and reliable. And the second, there are properties that a network description should possess, such as clarity, completeness, and self-consistency. And the third property that a network should possess is term learnability. And finally, the term expressiveness and persuasiveness refer to qualities of language used in developing the network structure. To conclude, network analysis would seem to have a usable role to play in educational research by providing a techniques for dealing with the bulk and the complexity of the accounts that are typically generated in qualitative studies. Next part, discourse analysis. Various developments in discourse analysis have made important contributions to our understanding of children's thinking. Challenging views are still common in educational circles of the child as a learned organism, constructing a succession of general models of the world as each new stage is mastered. Rather than treating children language as representative of an inner cognitive world to be explored experimentally by controlling for a host of inserting variables, discourse analysis treat the language as action as stated discourses practice. Discourse analysis requires a careful reading and interpretation of textual material, with interpretation being supported by the linguistic evidence, and discourse analysis has been criticized for its lack of systematic key, and from Cohen for its emphasis on the linguistic construction of a social reality and the impact of the analysis in shifting attention away from what is being analyzed and toward the analysis itself. The risk of losing the independence of phenomena, and discourse analyzing risks reviewing discourse. Next, analyzing social episodes. Several quantitative studies have been undertaken in this field. For example, McCarthy, Magnuson, and Camber and Magnuson use factor analysis and linkage analysis respectively, while Pepper and Seckers and Forges use multidimensional scaling and cluster analysis. NA account gathering in educational research, an example, Seckert and Peavers recommended as a way of preparing for explanation of people's before lays at the very heart of the ethnographer skills. In the example of ethnographic research that now follows, one can detect the attempt of the research to get below the surface data and to search for the deeper hidden patterns that are only revealed when attention is directed to the ways that group members interpret the flow of events in their lives. Next part, Heath, questioning at home and at school. Heath elicited both parents and teacher accounts of the children's behavior and their apparent communication problems. Her account of accounts arose out of periods of participation and observation in classrooms and in some of the teachers' home. In particular, she focused upon the way in which the children learned to use language to satisfy their needs, question, transmit information, and convince those around them that they were competent communicators. And next, problems in gathering and analyzing account. The implication of the ethogenic stage in terms of actual research techniques, however, remain problematic. Menzel discussed a number of ambiguities and shortcomings in the ethogenic approach, arising out of the multiplicity of meanings that may be held for the same behavior. A next problem that Menzel raises is to do with actor, meaning a series of bias. Should the researcher exclusively and invariably be guided by these considerations? To do so would be to ignore a wide range of potential explanation which few researchers would wish to see excluded from consideration. Next, strength of the ethogenic approach. The advantages of the ethogenic approaches to the educational researches lay in the distinctive insights that are made available to her throughout the analysis of accounts of social episodes. Thus it is the process of becoming different in a school which would capture the attention of the ethogenic researcher rather than the frequency and type of misbehavior among types of ability in children located in a kinds of school. And next, the last part, a note on stories. A comparatively neglected area in educational research is the field of stories and storytelling. Bauman suggests that stories are oral literature whose meanings, forms, and function are situationally rooted in cultural context, scans, and events which give meaning to action. Stories have a legitimate place as an inquiry method in educational research, and indigenous journey place them on a part with interviews as sources of evidence for research. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you for the attention. Pardon me please if there are any mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.